All right, you guys ready? Yeah. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
What's the number at the very far right? 1938. Did you know that we knew climate change was real in 1938?
It's really dumb.
Maybe no one knew that. Well, we knew it. And their government knew it by the 1950s.
Maybe this is hopeless, but it doesn't bring us down. Building the resistance with our friends in our hometown. No, I don't look to Washington, they never had my back. And I know that I don't need to look that far. I know that I don't need to look that far. Kelsey asked, will you help sue the state?
Yes, yes!
Said, I don't know what that means, but I think I'd like to try, cause I'm worried about the pipelines across the rivers, and the ashes in the rain, and the ever-rising tide. So we said we have a plan, we won't back down. But the oligarchy failed. Yes, it's been distracting from our studies. Think when we try to find a job, can't drink the water, breathe the air. Promise I will always want to breathe the air. Maybe this is hopeless, but it doesn't bring us down. Building the resistance with our friends in our hometown. I don't look to Washington, they never had my back. And I know that I don't need to look that far. I know that I don't need to look that far.
Another longtime partner of our Children's Trust, supporter of this case. He's the president of the local chapter of the NAACP. He works with youth that work on climate justice issues. They passed a resolution in support of our case. And he's here to talk in support of these kids.
Usually I do improvisational thought process with you all, because we want to come from the heart. As human beings in this day and age, we have to connect with one another. Racism is a big issue that is getting in the way of people thinking clearly about themselves and about their connection with one another and Mother Earth. For millennia, the earth has sustained us as we have grown into the industrial society we are today. But at the NAACP, our mission calls on us to work for the equality and dignity of all persons, especially the youth who are our future. But to do it, it is essential that we protect the most precious source of life next to the sun, and that is the very earth, our planet we live on. The time is now to act in support of life itself. From the womb to the tomb, we have precious little time to connect ourselves with the creation in a positive way, to be part of that natural progression of life that, left unchecked, finds a way. We want to find a way to get through to the hearts of those in power. For the last 2-3 centuries, who have seen that it was okay to value their bottom line, the money ethic over the idea of human life, or of their youth. At the NAACP, we recognize the long-term effects of capitalism, of greed, of all these negative effects on our society. And we have asked for over 110 years that in repayment for all of the hundreds of years of slavery in the United States, that we simply come together as one people with one nation in honor of the spiritual ideas that are imbued in the Bill of Rights, that are in the Constitution, that are in the Declaration of Independence, and that are calling us today to fulfill those same ideas. And so the government has a great responsibility to lead and to hear our children and to be responsible to their future. And so this lawsuit is the trial of the century. Hopefully it will go to trial very soon, right?
Right, yeah.
in the backdrop of all these violent acts that we see, in the backdrop of all the negativity that we see, this is a bright spot. This is a bright spot, but it calls for sacrifice. Amen. It calls for sustained activity. And it calls for us to reach across the aisle. Because 51% ain't gonna do it. We need 100% backing for our children and for our children's trust. This is for the planet. This is for the have-nots on this planet. I stand here today very sad because as an African American, my roots go back to Black Africa. And Black Africa is at the front line of climate change today. We have the good fortune to have time and technology on our side. But those in the third world or in the developing world don't have such a luxury. So it's up to us to think of them when we are in our comfortable homes, when we're on our well-equipped schools. Let's make sure that we are living up to all the privilege that we all have here in the United States of America. But with privilege comes great responsibility, as you have heard. And so let's move that responsibility into the future together. And let's call on our government one more time to think with compassion, think with leadership, and think with a heart that is based in spirituality and the qualities of humanity. Thank you very much.
Next, I'd like to call up to the stage Avery from right here in Eugene.
I am a 13-year-old plaintiff from here in Eugene. Climate change directly affects Oregon. We are seeing sea level rise and coastal erosion. We are seeing warmer water temperatures because of less snowpack in the Cascades. I would like to start by thanking every single person here because you guys are freaking incredible. Like, I can't say that enough. This is such an incredible experience for every single one of us plaintiffs. Like, I can't even say that enough. Like, it's crazy. And yes, we have had a rough past week. It's been hard seeing this stay really happen. We've been sad, but we aren't gonna give up. And this is good, right here, this is good. This is what we need. We really wanna go to trial, and we are going to go to trial. So, we're not gonna stop till we get there. So, I would like to end with a quote. Gandhi once said, "If you want real peace in the world, start with the children."
Next, I'd like to bring up here another local plaintiff, Sahara.
Hi everyone, my name is Sahara Hope Valentine, and I'm 14 years old. I'm from Eugene, Oregon, and I've lived here with my family my whole life. Growing up, my mom has taught me to look on the sunny side of life, which means to find and focus on the good instead of the negative. I have practiced this mindset and try to use it often, but when I found out that trial wouldn't be starting today, all I could feel was sad and desolate. From speaking to fellow plaintiffs and supporters, I understand that these feelings are shared by others. So I wanted to take the time that I've been given to remind everyone, including myself, that it is okay to feel scared, sad, and frustrated. But we can't stay in that place. We won't. We will move forward together with conviction and hope, backed by science. This past week, I've had many wonderful experiences. I've reconnected with fellow plaintiffs, had conversations with members of a UCC church from Sonoma, attended a dinner led by Indigenous elders. I met supporters at yesterday's Mushroom Festival, painted banners at the Art Build, and danced with many of you at a concert last night. Now I am here, and I can say that even though we may feel frustrated about trial not starting today, we are all here together now, standing for what is important to us, and that is an honor and a blessing. Thank you for being here with us. And to those who did not want to be here today, we'll see you in court.
Louisiana, Jaden's home keeps on flooding, and Florida's going under, and Hawaii's going too, and the fires burn hotter every year. Still, they want Jordan Cove to pump their liquid natural gas. I'm quite fed up with your gas. It's hopeless, but it doesn't bring us down. Building the resistance with our friends in our hometown. I don't look to Washington, they never had my back, and I know that I don't need to look that far.
Next, I'd like to bring up here Nick, plaintiff from Colorado.
Hi, my name is Nick Venner. I am here from Colorado. I'm 16 years old and I'm currently a senior in high school. I am reminded in times like these about the true scope of the issues we fight for. All of us have places that we fight to protect, sacred forests and rivers. But I would like to say that climate change is bigger than those. We aren't just fighting to protect one forest or one river, we're fighting to protect the entire planet. The extent of damage that climate change is doing is far beyond what one individual can experience. It's beyond what one generation can experience. It will continue to ripple out for hundreds, maybe even thousands of years. The cost of climate change won't be borne by the current generation. The costs of climate change will be felt by future generations and the youth of today. Climate change is an unusual problem, and we live in unusual times. It is unusual for the Supreme Court to stay a case on the eve of trial. It is unusual for the government to fight tooth and nail to delay a case like this. However, this is not normal. We live in unusual times, and I'd really like to appreciate you, even in when times seem dark, for coming out here and supporting us. Thank you very much.
Another plaintiff that's ready to come up here and speak with y'all. Her name's Miko.
First off, I want to thank everyone who came, especially the people who came out of town to be here for trial, and despite it being delayed, still came to support us. I'm very frustrated that so close to trial it has been delayed. As a resident of Oregon, I'm nervous, not even nervous, scared, what this means for our case, as we already have felt the effects of climate change. This Friday, I was supposed to testify in court, and it has been delayed, but I don't know if you can see. Today, I wear the flag of the Marshall Islands, which is where I was born, and I was gonna wear this in court when I testify. Because I'm from the Marshall Islands, this means, for me, this means that my people have to wait more as our islands go underwater. And we don't have time. The more we wait, the more I won't have a birth country to go back to. So in honor of my people, I would like to share a poem written by one of my friends, Marshallese poet Kathy Jetno Kajiner, who is a strong advocate for climate justice. Oh, it's called Tell Them. I prepared the package for my friends in the States. The dangling earrings woven into half moons, black pearls glinting like an eye in a storm of tight spirals. The basket sturdy, also woven, brown cowrie shells shiny, intricate mandalas shaped by calloused fingers. Inside the basket, a message. Wear these earrings to parties, to your classes and meetings, to the grocery store, the corner store, and while riding the bus. Store jewelry, incense, copper coins, and curling letters like this one in this basket. And when others ask you where you got this, you tell them. They're from the Marshall Islands. Show them where it is on a map. Tell them we are a proud people, toasted dark brown as the carved ribs of a tree stump. Tell them we are descendants of the finest navigators in the world. Tell them our islands were dropped from a basket carried by a giant. Tell them we are the hollow hulls of canoes as fast as the winds slicing through the Pacific Sea. We are wood shavings and dry bandana sleeves and sticky burritos at gamins. Tell them we are sweet harmonies of grandmothers, mothers, aunties, and sisters, songs into late
into night. Songs late into night. Tell them we are whispered prayers, the breath of God, a crown of fuchsia flowers encircling Auntie Mary's white sea foam hair. Tell them we are styrofoam cups of Kool-Aid red, waiting patiently for the illumination. Tell them we are papaya golden sunsets bleeding into a glittering open sea. We are skies uncluttered, majestic in their sweeping landscapes. We are the ocean, terrifying and regal in its power. Tell them we are dusty rubber slippers swiped from concrete doorsteps. We are the ripped seams and the broken door handles of taxis. We are the sweaty hands shaking another sweaty hand in the heat. Tell them we are days and nights hotter than anything you can imagine. Tell them we are little girls with braids cartwheeling beneath the rain. We are shards of broken beer bottles buried beneath fine white sand. We are children flinging like rubber bands across a road clogged with chugging cars. Tell them we only have one road. And after all this, tell them about the water. How we have seen it rising, flooding across our cemeteries, gushing over the seawalls and crashing against our homes. Tell them what it's like to see the entire ocean level with the land. Tell them we are afraid. Tell them we don't know of the politics or the science, but tell them we see what is in our own backyard. Tell them that some of us are old fishermen who believe that God made us a promise. Some of us are more skeptical of God. But most importantly, tell them we don't want to leave. We've never wanted to leave, and that we are nothing without our islands.
3 years later now we had a date in court, but that doesn't mean we've won. No, this fight is never done, so I hope that I will see you in the streets. Came on out and met me in the streets. Maybe this is hopeless, but it doesn't bring us down. Building the resistance with our friends in our hometown. No, I don't look to Washington, they never had my back, and I know that I don't need to look that far. I know that I don't need to look that far.
Minister for the United Church of Christ, came all the way from Cleveland. His name is Brooks Bird.
I want to speak to you today about the significance of the youth plaintiffs as a person of faith and as a parent. And so I'm a father of two beautiful little girls, a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old. There'll be a llama and a penguin for Halloween. We've been raising money for penguins in a glass jar. And so I just love them to pieces. And every night I'll confess that it's a big challenge to get them to bed on time. There's always books that need to be read, songs that need to be sung, and at least 3 trips to the bathroom. But eventually they fall asleep, and that's the opportunity then that my wife and I have to talk and to plan. And do all those things that go into being a parent. We plan for speech therapy, we plan for babysitters, we plan for piano lessons. And to me, that moment really captures the essence, the spirituality of being a parent. The love, the everyday love and care that goes into watching after someone else's well-being and happiness. And I think what I've realized with this case is that often many parents fail to connect that everyday spirituality of being a parent with climate change. And let me tell you, nothing mobilizes and moves a parent to action like getting their child out of harm's way. And yet here we are as a society stampeding towards the cliff's edge of climate change, and we're still working to make that connection. And that's why I'm so grateful for the plaintiffs, because it's their voices that are helping to make that connection for so many of us, to realize how important it is as parents and as grandparents to begin taking action. And for me, this rally is like our conversation time. It's our time to come together to plan how we're going to put love into action, to plan for revolution. Did you know that Jesus was a revolutionary? An anti-empire revolutionary. This is our time to plan. This is our time to come together, because we'll make it happen together we'll make it happen. Thank you so much for being out here in the rain. It's my honor to introduce our pastor from the United Church of Christ. Came all the way from Sonoma with a number of members of her church, the Reverend Kieran Riker.
I wonder if you would sing a little bit with me. The words are simple. We're going to keep on moving forward. We're going to keep on moving forward, never turning back. Never turning back. Goes like this. We're going to keep on moving forward. We're going to keep on moving forward. We're going to keep on moving forward. Never turning back. Never turning back. Now listen, I want to apologize on behalf of every person who identifies themselves as a Christian who has taken advantage of this planet in the name of having dominion over. I want to apologize for the early colonization of a people who knew well how to care for this planet. I want to apologize to every person who has ever been beaten up in the name of Christianity. And I want to say to you right here and right now, we are growing up. And I don't want any of you to be afraid to knock on every single pastor's door in your town and demand that they know about our children's trust. They have an obligation, a sacred obligation, to do this work. You hold them accountable. Now, every now and again, there are some spiritual leaders who transcend time, who understand that we have a holy entrustment and obligation to the great we that we are. Mother Teresa was one of those people. This prayer was next to her bed. It sits on my bedside as well. It was written by a man named Kent Keith. This is particularly to our 21. People are often unreasonable, irrational, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people will accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some unfaithful friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and sincere, people may deceive you. Be honest and sincere anyway. Here it is, and this is the hardcore truth. What you spend years creating, others could destroy overnight. Create anyway. Say that with me. Create anyway. Again, create anyway. The good you do today will often be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have. It may never be enough. Give your best anyway. In the final analysis, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway. God bless. Amen.
So at this moment, I'd like to call up Hazel, and she's going to tell you a few words. Hazel's from right here in Eugene.
My name is Hazel. I'm 14 years old, and I go to South Eugene High School. I want to keep this relatively short because this is not about me. This is not about the plaintiffs. This is about us. This is about our movement, and this is about the revolution that is happening right now to protect our planet, to save our future. So, I'm just going to say a couple things. I wasn't originally going to speak today. I wasn't feeling very good. I was feeling tired. I was feeling burnt out. This week has been hard. But this energy, this momentum, and this power that you guys are here and giving me and giving all of us is incredible. It's amazing. And it's keeping me going. Thank you. It's tremendously unfortunate that we're not going to trial today. We should be in those courtrooms. We should be protesting outside, and we should be talking to our government and holding them accountable in our courtrooms. But we're not, and that's okay. It's one more hurdle. It's one more thing that we need to push through, and we will push through this together. And I just want to thank you guys so much for coming out here in the rain, in the pouring rain. I know all of you are Oregonians and like the rain.
Not this much.
And I thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Hazel. Next, I'd like to call up to the podium someone that came all the way from Hawaii. He's a plaintiff on the case. His name is Journey.
Hi. My name is Journey Waihi Zephyr from the Yankton Sioux Indian tribe, and I live in Hawaii. Today is the day we are supposed to be in court, fighting for our generations and future generations' right to a stable and healthy climate. Sadly, the government is fighting against that and is attempting to deny us those rights. The government is continuing to stall our case and make excuses as to why they can't go to court with us. We cannot allow them to stall this case anymore, not for one more day. My generation is almost out of time. We are out of time. Where I live in Hawaii, an entire island disappeared just this month due to rising sea levels and intense hurricanes from climate change. It was called East Island in the National Marine Monument. It was a sanctuary for endangered Hawaiian sea turtles and monk seals. Our coastlines and beaches in Hawaii are dramatically shrinking every year. I spent most of the summer watching the weather channels, and impending hurricanes crept closer and closer with each storm. The warmer ocean waters are making it easier and easier for hurricanes to trek north up towards Hawaii. We had 2,000-year floods on my island in just 6 months this year, and several hurricane warnings. The government needs to act now, or it's only going to get worse. Climate change threatens the life, liberty, and property and well-being of not just my generation, but everyone. For over 50 years, they've known that climate change would worsen to this degree. We will not be silenced. We will stand up, and we cannot give up. We are out of time.
Okay, guys, we just have a few more plaintiffs that have a few special things to say to you, including Aji, who I think you're really going to like to hear from. Aji's in from Seattle, Washington.
This lawsuit was brought in the summer of 2015, and it has been a long 3 years of patient waiting and working, building towards this trial. We have, by all accounts, earned our day in court. And to have it stalled is frustrating, of course, but no more frustrating than the numerous other times the federal government has tried to have our case thrown out, from their original petition of writ of mandamus in front of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals to any other of the motions for emergency stay or mandamus that they have filed. This most recent delay, to me, is just that, a delay. Regardless of whether or not we get to walk into this courtroom, we showed up to hold the federal government accountable for their actions, to demonstrate to the judiciary that they have an obligation, along with the rest of our government, to protect our constitutional rights to a climate system capable of sustaining human life. Yeah. Normally at this point I would sing a song with an ukulele, but I don't have my ukulele, so I'm going to sing my song a cappella. Yeah. I just have to, because normally, yeah.
Put the mic right up to your mouth.
There's a danger, and it's up ahead. There's a danger, and it's up ahead. Fracking oil out the ground, killing everything around. Turn the grass to black and brown, there's a danger up ahead. Building pipelines across the land, spilling all that black tar sand. Truly is a biplane. There's a danger up ahead. There's a danger up ahead.
Now I'd like to call up to the podium Sophie from Pennsylvania.
Hi everyone, thanks for sticking out. In my experience, one of the biggest obstacles in climate recovery is remembering that a solution is only possible if more people, nearly all people, understand the magnitude of climate change and also understand how and that it can be solved. And to be successful in this, You have to be able to go outside of your comfort zone and not only speak up here today about what you know, but learn how to explain it, and especially learn how to listen to people who have different backgrounds than yourself. It's very easy to get caught up in the chaos of everything and start to react emotionally and misdirect your frustration and even anger at people who, for whatever reason, haven't had this opportunity to understand the science or talk about it in an unbiased setting and figure out why that is. It's important to zoom out and think about why someone may not make the connection that fossil fuels are harmful, and even possibly be encouraged not to do that. Perhaps it's not their fault, but the fault of the industries and governing bodies who know better and try to take advantage of them for profit. It's important to think carefully and scientifically in how you communicate with those who disagree with you. Don't be insensitive or condescending, but stir curiosity in them and encourage further discussion. So today I challenge you to depolarize and depoliticize climate change by partnering with people with whom you haven't thought to partner with before. As long as that person is living on this planet, then climate change affects them and their future, and they deserve to understand it. And we can all benefit from that as well.
Thank you, Sophie. Finally, I'd like to call Vic up to the stage. Vic from New York via Madison.
We stand out here in the shadow of a government that shows general lack of care for people or posterity. A government that has abandoned its most vulnerable, abandoned the future, abandoned the present. We live in a country that every day has accepted a little bit more hate into its heart. Climate change encompasses issues of justice. I was born into a world that was past the point of being able to support me. It took me 19 years of being Latinx, of being black, of being queer, for me to recognize that I had realized that I had developed mechanisms for resilience that I didn't even know that I had. I was born existing as a person who would always need protection from those in power, and I'm not alone. This is the case for a lot of people who don't fit the mold of what society upholds. People of color, people who identify as women, people who are poor, people who are queer. In today's world, we uphold resilience. In today's world, we uphold resilience as a necessary tactic for change, but ignore those who've been utilizing it since the day that they became themselves. The people on the front lines of the issues that plague our society have been born with one of the most integral skills to fighting their own misfortune. Sea level rise impacts my home of New York and my home of Honduras. It puts my grief in a culture which is already critically endangered in even more danger. Increased rains and flooding really disappoint me and really make me concerned, but I think what worries me the most is the lack of foresight and the lack of good intention. And whether that's embodied by the fossil fuel extraction that we see, or embodied by the ability of a cop to shoot an innocent person to death, or embodied by the separation of children from their parents at one of the scariest moments of their lives, I've been worried at times that the amount of love and care necessary to fight these issues doesn't exist. And it's the responsibility of those with privileges who recognize the issues and have the capability to dissect the exclusive language, to respect all of the inherent strength that already exists within marginalized communities, and provide platforms for that strength to be shared and to be highlighted. Young people, trans people, migrants, black people, people with disabilities, I would like to stand in solidarity with all those who fight every day to be seen. Recognize the privilege in this space and promise me you'll do everything you can to protect us from a system that wishes to erase us. I would like to take 10 seconds of silence to consider those who are on the verge of cultural erasure and buried identities. Stand with those who are collapsing under the weight of a system that doesn't see us. Stand with those who are willing to take to the streets to be seen. Stand with young people. Stand with those vulnerable. Support us because work is hard, and sometimes it just takes a few kind words. I just want you to turn to the person next to you and say, I love you, I'll protect you, I care about you, and we're gonna be all right.
Maybe this is hopeless, but it doesn't bring us down. Building the resistance with our friends in our hometown. No, I don't look to Washington, they never had my back. And I know that I don't need to look that far. I know that I don't need to look that